I have to keep playing with this thing so I don't make my file sizes too big. One of the things that we were talking about last week when I picked you up is right off the bat, you know, I told you I'm a reporter, and I'm all quizzical. So one of the things that got me is right off the bat, you told me something about your life right when you were born. Tell me about that. What did you tell me back then?
I told you that both of my parents were addicted to drugs, and I was born with crack in my system, 3 months premature.
You called yourself a crack baby?
Pretty much, and because that's the terminology that is used in mainstream media to describe, you know, children like me.
Hey, when did you first hear that term?
Very early on. It was pretty prevalent in the 90s. People would just call each other crack babies, just like as an insult or,
right,
you know, just playing around. But I guess it was saturated in the media first, early on, probably in the 80s during the crack epidemic.
Right.
You know, people were having babies with crack in their system, so they just started calling them crack babies.
Hey, at first, did you just not think of that, or did you take it as an insult, or what?
Of course, I took it as an insult at first because we used to use it as an insult, you know, in the neighborhood with each other and with people. But the older I got, I realized that everyone makes their own, you know, decisions, and you can make your own destiny if you really work hard and just get the opportunity to.
Tell me about mom and dad.
My biological mother and father.
Mm-hmm.
They had me when they were pretty young. My father was 20. I think my mother was either 18 or 19. And it was, you know, and in 92, I was born in 92, so they met in the 80s in a time where both of them were doing bad things like, you know, drugs. And I was a baby of love, which means that I'm the only one from my mother and father. My other siblings, you know, none of us share the same mother and father. They have different fathers or they'll have different mothers, but none of them share the same exact mother and father as me.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
14.
That's something.
Yes.
So along this way, it was interesting to me that you were telling me about sort of what's going on in your life, and that who raised you?
I was raised by my father's mother, my grandmother.
She seemed to do a pretty good job.
I think so, yes.
So you lived in what neighborhood, and how would you describe the neighborhood you grew up?
I grew up in Poplar Grove, West Baltimore. The neighborhood riddled with crime. You would say not the friendliest neighborhood for outsiders. I never really had too many problems around there because I grew up around there and I was
right.
just recognized pretty much. But it is a neighborhood that, you know, has lots of issues as far as murder and crime and just the quality of life for people in that area.
I'm gonna hold up 1 second. I gotta do this and again, and I'm gonna ask you